We're going to take a look at how to clean up one of these drawings for the process of editing and creating these as-built drawings. What we're going to be doing here is as-built drawings. They'll be taken starting with proposed drawings and then getting the prepared for as-built. Basically, the proposed drawings will have talked about what to do out in the field, and the as-built drawings will basically show what they did. So we're going to want to start off by getting rid of anything that speaks to the installation process for the job. So first and foremost, these details. These are details of what they should have done out there in the field, but that doesn't mean they necessarily did that. So we're going to get rid of all of the details that pertain to these intersections. We can leave the circles for right now because we're going to use those later, but at this point let's just get rid of all of these details because we're going to be drawing the actual intersections later. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of this, and so that's pretty well cleaned up. The next thing we want to do is take a look at the notes. If you read the notes over briefly, you'll find that they actually have to do with the installation, telling the contractor what to do. So as a result, since they're done, we're going to go ahead and get rid of them. The next thing we want to do here is take a look at these test bits. Test bits are a block that have an X through it, okay? One of the things I like to do for test bits at the beginning of the project is I'll actually open them, open the block file, select the block itself, change them to like a yellow color, if you will, close the block editor, and then that'll actually brighten them up to show them. But I've also found another way you can do it is just simply delete the block itself and then close and save changes, and what that will do is that'll wipe out all test bits, okay? So that you won't have to worry about them later, because there will be a bunch of them on each sheet. Whenever it says something about removing and disposing a hydrant, or removing and R&D means remove and dispose. Anytime you see R&D, it means that they're removing and disposing something, so let's get rid of it. Anytime you see new, they're talking about something that they would have installed. It won't be new anymore, it will be existing, so let's get rid of that. We're going to go down here to R&D hydrant, and we're going to do that again. Get rid of the hydrant. And get rid of the call off as well. We have new here, hydrant. We're going to change that out to hydrant, and we're just going to move this back into place. Note 1 pertained to the note that we deleted before, so we can see here how this would no longer apply. So we get rid of note 1, and if you read note 1, you'd see it had something to do with a cap, and we'll delete the cap as well because it no longer applies. We have an R&D gate box here, so we're going to delete the call off for it, and just delete the gate box as well as the call off for the gate box. There won't always be a call-off for the gate box, but we're going to delete it if we find it. This is a call-off for the test pits. Obviously, we deleted them before, so that goes. We're going to leave any 6-inch cap, any blow-off here that calls off the end of the line. We can leave those for right now. Let's delete the call-off for the remove and dispose 2-inch blow-off, and then let's get rid of these two guys right here. Okay? So that basically we've got this pretty well cleaned up for so far. This is calling off the 6-inch ductile line of water, and for right now, we're going to assume that that's exactly what they did. This is the 6-inch cap with blow-off at the end of the line. These are okay. They probably put these in. This is calling off the water main again, and we're basically ready to go. So you can see in how in a few minutes all we had to do here was just go in and delete a lot of stuff to clean these drawings up and prepare them for the as-built drawings. That would be step 1 for the process. So the next step, once you've cleaned up the drawing, is to put the service connections on each one of the houses on the plan. What you want to go ahead and do is go over to the files that we sent over to you, and you're going to look for probably a PDF that has a ton of connection cards in them. As you can see, this is a 10-page PDF, and it has 4 connection cards on each sheet. So there's about 40 connection cards here. What you want to do here is take this sheet right here, and probably just close up this window from, let's see, how do we get rid of this? Oh, perfect. So what we want to do is take these connection dimensions and information and transfer them from these cards here onto the plans. So first and foremost, what you want to do is start with, let's say for example, this one is for Bliss Mine Road. You want to go into the project and find Bliss Mine Road, and we found it here on sheet number 3. So what we want to do here is we're looking at, first and foremost, we're looking at 15 Bliss Mine Road. So we want to find that one first, and I can see right here this is number 15, and it is on Bliss Mine Road. As you can see here, this is Bliss Mine Road. So what we want to do is we want to work with, first and foremost, we want to work with, inside of model space or paper space, depending on how you want to do it, we're going to work with align dimensions. Now I'm going to set my dimension style to KCWA 2001. That's usually a pretty good one. And we're going to use align dimensions. We are not going to snap. That's very, very important that we're not going to snap to these, and we can take all other tracking off. There's no need to have any of that. We're just going to work with aligned dimensions with no snapping, because if you snap, what it will do is it'll really mess things up. So as you can see here, the dimension for this one is on the left side of the home, 31 feet down, 0 feet over, and 22 feet down is to the main. So here's how we're going to do this. We're going to do the first dimension is 31. We'll start at the corner of the house. We'll go down 31, type 31, and it will give us an exact 31-foot dimension. Now, as you can see here, it's 0 feet over, so we don't even need to put that. All we need to do now is use Polyline to draw a PL, and then type into it 22 feet. Okay? So then we're going to dimension this thing right here, adding the text. Make sure your text size is 3.5. And then we're going to type in here that it is 22 feet. Now the old connection needs to get brought over and pushed to this section here, and then the old line needs to be deleted. So as you can see here, when you look, you'll notice these WSOs with the line going down. Those are old services, and basically what they're doing is they're replacing them. So you can easily go in and replace them, and it kind of helps you also to figure out where the line is, because they're going to try to replace them in the same spot that they were in the first place. So it kind of helps you as a guide as to where they are. For right now, this is done. We're just going to leave this line like this and move on to the next one. Sheet number 16 shows 55 feet off of the right side of the house. So because we're on the opposite side, right is actually on this side. We're going to go off the house, and we're going to draw the first dimension line parallel to the house, perpendicular to the front face of the house, and we know that this is 55 feet. So we're going to draw in 55 and drop it in. The next thing we are going to do is look to the next dimension, which is 15. From here, it is 15 inside the house, so we're going to go 15 feet this way and put the second dimension line. We're going to draw a polyline from here, and we're going to look to our dimension, and it looks like it's about 12 feet. So we're going to draw it across 12 feet. From there, we're going to drop a small piece of text in here to delineate that it is 12 feet. Make sure that it isn't in the way of any other line work, so put it, in this case, put it below the line, and basically from there you are all set. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go on to the next one, which is 19 Bliss Mine Road, and that is right here. Again, it is on the left side of the house, so we're going to start the dimension line here. Draw the dimension line down 34 feet. From 34, you can see it's 10, and as you see again, look, it's right next to where this old water service is. So we're going to go ahead and go 10 feet. Leave the 10 feet here, and then maybe just move it up above it. We're going to move the water service outlet to where it is and delete the old line, and we're going to draw on a new line from the water service outlet down, and apparently it is 22 feet. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go over and do the next one, which is 19, we'll do 24. So for 24, again, it is on the left side of the house, which is in opposite view, it is on this side of the house. And so we're going to go down 43 feet. So we'll draw an aligned dimension, 43 feet. And then it's inside by 32. So we'll draw that line in. 32. Move this to where that is, delete the old one. And then what we'll do is we will draw in 13 feet. And then we will type in the 13 feet. Okay? So we're going to do this over and over again for all of the cards that we have. In this case, we have a few cards. Let's see if I can't get this to show in big mode. Right here, we have a lot of cards. Essentially, we have 40 of them here. So you'll do this over and over again, and what it will do is it'll create all these different services all the way down the line. Once you're done with that, what you'll want to do is probably delete the existing line, or at least good sections of it, because what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to move this existing line so that it's somewhere in the middle. Notice these are hanging over. We really don't want that to be happening, so what we're going to do is we're going to move the line, and we're going to kind of just draw it in as straight as we can to split the difference between these guys here. Okay? Actually, where the line is right now, as long as it's plus or minus a foot or two, we should be pretty good. As we can see here, that's about 1.8 feet off, so we're just going to trim and then extend, just so that these lines touch the old line. Now if this were way off, we would redraw the line, and we're not drawing the line exactly from point to point. We don't want to do this. We don't want that line, yellow line, to be all over the place, because that's not really what goes on out there. Somebody may have messed up a dimension line. There may have been an overhang on a house. There may have been something in the way. So we're just going to go ahead and assume that if it's within a couple of feet, we're just going to trim this, extend that, trim this one back, and basically clean up this line so that these extend exactly to where they're supposed to be. If there were some major difference, we would move the main line up or down, but if there's only minor differences, we leave it the way that it is. And so once you're done with all of the cards, you'll have replaced the main and put it where it belongs. That will pretty much finish the first part of the sheet. We'll be moving on from there to the dimensions, and we'll talk about that next. So the next thing you want to do here is to start doing the details. Now, the details for the intersections can be somewhat complicated, but they're really, if you use your head, they're not really that hard to figure out. What we're going to send you along with these files is, along with these PDFs, you're going to find these TIFF files, TIFF files, and they are of the intersections and some of the details that need to be drawn up for each one of the sheets. This is where you'll probably spend the majority of your time trying to get these together and make sure that they're put together the way they're supposed to. But there's some things to keep in mind when you're doing these, that we want them done the way that that we talk about here in the video here. So the first thing that you want to do here is probably start with the first one and move your way along them. But I picked a random one that I want to take a look at first. What I did was I right-clicked on the image insert and attached the image, and then what I did was I reached down and I clicked one of them and hit open. From there, I was able to get this image. Okay. Now, the first thing that we're going to do here is notice that it's in bitmap form, which means that you can basically trace right over it. So the first thing we're going to do with this image is we're going to convert this image to color 251 usually is good enough. This will help to darken up the image so that when you draw over it, it'll be nice and easy to do. The first thing we want to do is take a look at the title here. You'll see that there's a whole lot of information up here. What you'll see here specifically is 20 by 8 inch tapping sleeve and valve Clinton tie-in. That's going to be the title of this detail, and it's also going to help you to locate where the detail is. This is sheet number. This says sheet number 24, but as you can see here, we don't really have sheet number 24, so you're going to have to use your head to figure out where this belongs. So this says it is a tap and sleeve and valve on Clinton, and that this is for Clinton Street. So as you flip around the drawing, you're probably going to see that there is a Clinton Street. Take a look around. That's Bliss Mine. Sheet number 4 is Clinton Street. So we can pretty much assume that this drawing belongs to Clinton Street. So what I'm going to do is copy the drawing over and bring it to Clinton Street so that this detail belongs here. Now we don't want to put these details on Clinton Street itself. It's a pretty clustered drawing as it is. So what we want to do is we want to create a new sheet and put all the details on it. So if you right-click on any one of the sheets, so this in particular, this is sheet number 4, and click Move or Copy. We're going to create a copy of this sheet, and we're going to move it right after sheet number 4. We're going to call this sheet 4A. Now 4A will have all the details for sheet number 4. So if we go on sheet number 4A, you'll notice that it is an exact duplicate of the sheet. We will get rid of the viewport, and we will be left with just the detail. If you go back to 4, you'll notice the details there. We have to delete it. And now what we have is we have the plan on sheet number 4 and the details on sheet number 4A. Change the sheet number to sheet number 4A, and let's start drawing the details. So we want to basically size up these details so that they are, this is a 24 inch by 36 inch sheet, and the space that we have to work within is usually about 20 inches. So basically what we found is that you can usually do 2 details rows at a time as you're doing them. So sizing this one up to about this size, meeting just less than the halfway point, is a good way to handle this detail. So as we look at this detail, we know that it's for the valve at Clinton Ave tie-in. This is Newport Water, Clinton Street. The first thing that we need to do is make sure the orientation of the rotation of this sheet is proper. As you can see here, house number, unit number 23 is really one of the best things that we have to go by. So if we go back to the plan and we look for unit number 23, we aren't going to find it. So you may not be able to find that. So we have to look back on sheet number 4A and see if they call off. As you can see here, he's calling off this street as West Narragansett. If you read this, it says West Narragansett. So we're seeing West Narragansett go this way. If we go back to sheet number 4, you'll see West Narragansett going this way. So basically what we can see is that this sheet, because this is going to be Clinton Street, this sheet right here, as you can see it's called off here as Clinton, is going this way, and West Narragansett is going that way. This sheet needs to be rotated in this orientation. Okay? Basically upside down from the way that it was drawn. Okay? As you can see here now, we have West Narragansett going north to south and Clinton going east to west. If we check back, you'll see it, West Narragansett going north to south and Clinton Street going west to east. This is exactly what we want to have this drawing oriented. So the orientation for this drawing is now right. Unfortunately, what that means is that you have to read everything upside down, but that's not really that hard to do. So the first thing we want to do is start tracing right over this. This is where the job gets pretty easy. And don't forget here, you actually had a north arrow to work with. So if you use this north arrow and you go back and you see that north is going this way, you can orient it that way if you want to. So drawing this is pretty simple. All we're going to do really is trace. I'm going to trace over all the lines. The first thing we're going to trace in here is what would be the edge of the road. These are not to scale sketches, and they're not supposed to be drawn to scale. So if we go through here, we can pretty easily draw in the street. Now we like to make the street line color 9. So let's change this to color 9. And then we can start drawing in the other parts of this. We want to draw in the dwelling. So we'll draw in this square and get rid of that line. And as you can see, it's really hard to read this, whatever it does say. I think it says B&B Welding. So we'll just do the best we can. I'm going to change my text style to 0.08 because we're going to be drawing these in paper space. So this is B&B Welding, and that's a guess. And as far as I'm concerned, a guess is good enough. This right here is another house. I'm going to trim this back. And want to call this nursery. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it should fall exactly where they suggest it is. And then this one is number 23. Okay? So now what we do is we've drawn in the houses. We've drawn in everything that the ties go in to and from. Now we want to draw in the line itself. As you look, you'll see that this is the line. Okay? And each thing with the arrow is the tie or the dimension to where this thing took place. So we'll draw the line in, drawing it here, 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 and there, and trimming it off here. Okay? Notice something here. There's 24 feet from a, reading this is a pole 7. I know it's hard to read, but it is pole 7. So what I'm going to do is insert, and it's usually under UP for utility pole. I'm going to insert a pole and scale that pole up just about the size that they have it here. Once you've picked a size for the pole, try to use that over and over and over again on your sheet. So don't make all the poles different sizes. I also exploded that pole block so that it would turn back to color 9 because again we want this to be color 9 so it shows as existing on our work. Okay? So we drew in the line work. We want to add what we call little S leaders to the ends of these. Now what I like to do is once I've drawn in one S leader, I will make a block of it, call it S leader, pick the center, and then hit OK. This will give me the S leader anytime I want it. So I can type S leader, and then I can actually set rotation. So I can put it on the page, specify rotation on a page. So I can put it on the page, rotate it, and be done. Very quick. Insert, hit OK, put it on, rotate it, and you're done. Okay? So basically we put the S leaders in. Now we're going to put the little flanges in Flanges look like this. They're basically a little tick mark, if you will. I'll use the mirror command to mirror them over, and then I'll also use the mirror command here to mirror it back, and then rotate 90 degrees and 90 more, and this will put the tick marks somewhere where I need them to do. I'll use the rotate command to fix them up. Okay? And then what we'll do is, when we're finished with that, we'll bring these tick marks down here. Anytime a line crosses here and it's a T, if you will, we're going to have to put these tick marks. So let's use the copy command to bring the tick mark down, and then we're going to mirror this down and mirror that down as well. And this is the point where the line intersects the main line. So this is a T, so we want these tick marks here. Okay? So far so good. Everything looks great. The next thing that we want to do is we want to draw in here. Anytime you see a circle with an X through it, it's usually a valve. Okay? The valves, we do not want them drawn with a circle with an X. I don't know why they draw them like that out in the field. But we want them drawn like a regular valve. So basically that is an X. Okay? And it looks just like this. Again, with the pole and with the valve, make sure we use the same size throughout all the drawings. So what you want to do is, I will submit to you a set of standard sizes of things that you can use over and over again. You can make them blocks if you want to, whatever you want. So the next thing we want to do is draw in the street names. So we'll type in Clinton Street, and then we'll type in West Narragansett Street. If you don't know how to spell a street, go over to the plan and read it. It's pretty straightforward. West Narragansett and then Avenue. Okay? It's pretty straightforward. Pick this here and we're good to go. So our line is drawn in, our edge of road is drawn in, our two buildings are drawn in, and our pole is drawn in. So we're ready to add these ties. We're going to use the arc command, and we're going to arc from this point to here and draw in each one of these dimensions. This one says 67 feet. We're going to draw in this one here. Again, right here, 67 feet. Apparently, these are all 67 feet, so we'll just draw them in. Okay, it's apparently 24 feet from here to here. This one is 49. As you look over here, you can trace this down here to find that this one is 50. And this one over here, way down here, is 55. So we'll swing that tie 55 feet. Really, we just want to keep these ties clean so they don't intersect each other if they don't have to. You're going to come into situations where you're going to have to intersect the ties, so just do it as little as possible. So it's here, we're going to go 37 feet. Here, we're going to go 37 feet. And here, we're going to do 38 feet. Okay? This will send all the ties to the sheet and where it belongs. Okay? And then if they have any call-outs for it, we're going to want to call them out. As you can see, this one right here actually says 20-inch CI. It's hard to read, but if it's hard to read, leave it alone. Don't put it on there. But if it makes sense, like for example, this one says 45 degrees, calling off these two bends right here as 45-degree bends. So we're going to click on it, set our dimension style to PS because we're in paper space. We're going to click on it, and we're going to draw these in because we know what they are. 45-degree bend. Okay, and then if we want to, we can put in the size of the line if we want. Basically, oh, you can see here how it's 8-inch. See the 8-inch mark? So we're going to call this 8-inch, and then this is a water project, so calling it 8-inch water is just good enough. Okay? So once we've gone through the sheet pretty thoroughly, we've got the edge of road drawn in, we have all the ties drawn in. This is called 20-inch CI, so we can extend this line out a little bit and put on it 20-inch CI. Okay? This becomes detail. And then you can see here that how there's a horizontal tie-in at Clinton Street, or this is in West Narragansett. This is some sort of an explanation as to how it was drawn in. We can ignore this small detail. We really want to just draw in the big detail until we're told otherwise. What we can do next is delete this drawing. We'll put a little frame around it. Okay. We'll provide you with the frames. I have frames that I want to use. And then what we want to do is call this off. So this is called 20 by 8 inch tapping sleeve and valve Clinton Street tie-in. We don't really need to call it off this whole thing. All we have to do is call off the intersection that it's at. So this will be Clinton Street and West Narragansett Avenue. So let's call it off as Clinton Street and West Narragansett Avenue. We want that scale what we're doing is drawing a piece of straight text to match it, make it fixed faster. We're going to scale that text up 1.5 times because we want it to be a little bit larger than the text that we're using in the drawing. And then what we're going to do here is call this off as drawing number 1A of sheet 4A. Again, 1.5 times the text size. Move it nicely into the box. Okay. Again, when I send these over to you, I'll have my own frame and my own title block. Just edit it, and this will be NTS for not to scale. Okay. And then what we're going to do here is 1A of 4A Clinton Street and West Narragansett Avenue. And then what we can do is we can delete the image file. And as you look, the detail here is pretty much done. The next thing that you want to do here is take this 1A, because we want to know where the detail came from, go back to sheet number 4, draw a little circle around, and just call this 1A. Again, I'm going to have a box for you that I want you to use, but just for this purpose, I'm going to draw it in. So we're going to call this 1A 4A. Okay? So now this detail is not only drawn, but we've also put it on the plan so that people will know where they can find it when they go to look for it. I'm going to scale this up a little bit so it stands out 1.5 times. Going back to 4A, this detail is done, and we're moving on to the next detail. We'll use the image command to attach a new image. We will search through to find whichever is the next detail to be done. Insert it onto the plan. Okay. Again, reading here, crossover sewer at 13 Clinton. Okay. Obviously you can see that the line goes this way, so there's a 45-degree at number 13. If you go over to Clinton, you're going to find that we actually don't have house numbers. That's very rare. Usually there'll be house numbers. So at this point, the best thing we can do is use the north arrow to determine which way this is supposed to go. As you can see, this is north. So we're going to rotate this drawing 180 degrees because we know that north, when we look at it on our plans on sheet number 4, is running in this direction. We go to sheet number 4A, we move it over here. First things first, we're going to change the color of it. This one's a little bit more of a simple drawing. Really, they don't even have any edge of road at this point. We should probably draw in an edge of road. Color it 9. Make a copy and bring it over here. Doesn't have to be perfect. Next thing, let's draw in the houses. Number 13. And anything that we're going to tie off of, which it looks like they only tied off of the house, so we're good there. Next thing, we'll draw in the line. We'll insert the S leaders. We'll call off the street. Okay. And what we'll do here is, this is a sewer line, so what we'll do is we'll draw it in. Again, if you use your head, if you use your smarts, you'll see that the sewer line is probably existing. So let's make this color 9. Okay, you can see this is 22.5 degrees. This is 45 degrees. So let's call off. I'm sorry. Let's do the ties next. So we're going to swing a tie from here to here. Label it 40 feet. We're going to swing a tie from here to here. Label it 42 feet. Here to here, it's 25 feet. And here to here, 42. Here to here, 34 feet. Then we're going to call off these pieces. This will be a 22-1/2. I'm sorry, excuse me. 22-1/2% D for degree bend. This will be a 45% D bend. Okay? And we can put a little note here for top 36-inch over sewer. Okay? This draws the sewer line. This has the S liters. The only thing we need now is the little tick marks at each intersection. I'm going to draw it in here, go mirror this down. Copy this from here to here. Mirror this from here to here. Okay. We'll copy our frame and our title. We'll bring it over. We'll delete, well, we won't delete the original note until we know what this is for. So this is crossover sewer at 13 Clinton. We can call it that. We can call crossover sewer at 13 Clinton. Okay, now we can delete this and shrink this so that it fits. Move it right next. And then this will become detail number, instead of 1A, this will be detail number 2A. Okay, so this is our second detail. Now what we'll do is we'll go over to the sheet and we will try to find that crossover. You can see it right here. Right here. So you can see the 45-degree bends here. Notice that it says 45-degree bends and we called off a 45-degree and 22-degree bend. So it would be nice if you'd just change that for us. .5-degree bend, 45-degree bend, leader down here. Try to draw everything out in paper space. Then what you're going to do is draw your circle, copy your call off, place it here, and call this 2A. So detail 2A on sheet number 4A is what this detail pertains to. And what you're going to do is do this over and over and over again for all of these connections. You're going to have to use some smarts to figure out where each one of these goes. Create a new sheet for the details. Make sure to draw them in the right orientation. Add the S liters to the ends, draw on the lines, draw on the ends, and basically this is how we want all of our intersection details to look. So what you should have here now that you've finished up drawing all the details, you've finished up cleaning up the plans and labeling and leadering everything to where the plans go, you should have a pretty good set of plans going here. The only thing we want to keep in mind is number one, we want to make sure the as-built logo here at the bottom is always here. So I'm going to use a control shift copy to copy this and make sure that it is on every sheet. As well, this is the plan for Clinton Street. What we will probably do down here is just see Clinton Street details. And so for all of your detail sheets that you make up, try to change that to details, and don't forget to change the sheet number as well. For sheet number 4, the details will be on 4A. And again, we want to make sure that all of these sheets, so when you go to sheet number 5, what you'll notice here is that this word alternate is in the way. You can move it up and then just simply drop in that as-built right there so it has it on the plan. And so you can go through over and over the whole process. The last thing to do here is on the title sheet. What we do is we come down on the title sheet and just call it the same thing. So I can just come in here, edit, copy, title, edit, paste. And then also on the edge here, we like to do that as well, is we'll actually on the binder put in the word as-built drawings. As you can see here, it really shrinks this thing up. So you might have to go into modify and change the width factor to like 0.8 so they'll fit a little bit better. They're very congested call off. I might even change the way this is displayed to match the try to just change it to something that you can actually read. That's probably this is fine. You can just leave it. If we can't read it, we'll figure it out later. Save these drawings over, drop them back into Dropbox where you originally found the file, update the file, and you should be all set. That will fix up these drawings and get them over to us the way we need them. Thank you very much.